starts today, you fucking maggot motherfucker. Stop blaming everything on everybody. And fucking American society and the fucking iPhone. Fuck you and the fucking iPhone. Fuck you and fucking Facebook. Fuck you and social media. It's all about you, you dumb motherfucker. Get up, grab your balls. Hug your wife, kiss the kid. Pick up the fucking dog. Stop it. Stop it. It's not all Obama's fault. You don't want Ebola? Take your vitamin C, you dumb motherfucker. You don't want ISIS to fuck with you? Stay in New Jersey. But stop your fucking crying. You're a fucking American, you fucking douchebag. Start acting like it. That's it. You're a fucking American. Motherfucker.
Boom.
Yes.
We are back.
Oh,
We are
I guess
back.
that was a little too loud.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, here we are. Last
Here we are.
weekend of February.
February 27th, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Man, we're already almost March.
I know.
I'm
That's
ready
crazy.
for springtime.
3 months into 2021.
And shit's still crazy in the
I
world.
know.
Oh,
Anyways.
it's crazy to think that April Fool's Day is almost right around the corner.
I know. I remember thinking, like, I was hoping that April Fool's Day was going to come and they were going to be like, oh, just a big April Fool's joke, this whole COVID thing. But here we are a year later. It's not a joke, and
Maybe this April Fool's.
maybe
Maybe they'll
that'd be the
surprise the
long,
world.
the super long con. So, all right, man. What do you got? What do we got on Pokemon update time?
I actually switched my mind to Heatran.
What's his name?
Heatran.
Heatran. Okay. What does he do?
He's a basic. He has 130 hit points and he's a fire type, of course, because his name has heat in it, and also his attacks are Fire Fang, which does 30 damage, and I thought I knew that was regenerating.
Raging.
Raging Flare, yeah, it's that. I thought that was actually raging. And
It's too easy
then
for him.
80 plus.
Regenerating.
Which does 80 plus. Also, boiling blood, like magma, circulates through its body. It makes its dwelling place in volcanic caves.
Damn. Sounds brutal.
Its blood is basically magma.
Yeah.
I feel like I have days like that. My blood is just liquid hot magma.
But this guy's actually used to it.
Yup.
Which
Heck yeah, man. What else is going on? We went shooting yesterday.
and I hit a 50-yard out target.
I saw the video.
Yeah, man.
I can attest to it. That was pretty awesome, dude.
Putting rounds on steel at 50 yards. Yeah, it took him a little bit to figure out where the sights needed to go. But once he got it figured out, he was shooting pretty straight. So,
That's fun, isn't it? When you hit that, you pull the trigger and you hear that ding way out there.
yep. Yeah, 50 yards is far enough to where there's a split second
Yeah.
between the trigger pull and the ding. So it's like
cool.
just long enough to where you're like, oh, there it
There's
is.
a little anticipation.
Yep, it is sweet. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks for the Pokemon update. Jax is leaving. Might be time for the
Youngins.
young bucks to take off.
Not so young anymore. You're older than you were.
That's right, he's 8 now. Yeah, it's your birthday party, our epic Nerf gun battle.
You figured out the gift I got you?
Yep.
What are you going to do with the $50?
I already spent it.
Already?
I was gonna show you. I just wanted to get the Lego set and show you really quick.
I will see
Alright,
it
show
when
me, show me after.
we get done.
It'll take like an hour.
No, it's alright, man.
That's alright.
You got a big battle mech. Ninjago battle mech.
That's the one that came
So.
with one of my limited edition ninjas.
Sweet.
I have 4 of them.
You'll like it.
I'm glad you
It's
turned it on
2
Ninjago.
feet tall, man. It's pretty freaking.
Is it?
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
I'll check it out afterwards.
Okay.
Alright, man.
Ah, there you go. Taking the young and shooting.
That's good.
shooting guns, and it was just something. It's like wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It's like, man, if you grow up wrestling, you're just going to be wired differently as an adult than if you didn't. Like
Yep.
if you grow up around guns, you're going to be wired differently than if you didn't. And trying to figure those fucking skills out as an adult is challenging. So, or a little more challenging. That's my excuse. That's what I'm using.
No, there's probably some. I'm pretty sure there's some science to back that up.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure our brains aren't quite as malleable
No,
as
it's
the young ones.
not quite as.
They get calcified from
Yep.
all our years of being fed bullshit.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was another thing that dude Brian Enos in that book was saying. Like he's like, don't rely on habit. Habits are a preconceived notion of what you think, how you think you should respond. You should just stay open to the moment and respond in the moment. And that right there was because you see that in jiu-jitsu, right? Like habits in jiu-jitsu are like where you get like a pathway, and pathways are good to drill, but like when you're just, your pathway is your jiu-jitsu, that's your habit, and you just get really good at forcing the same position. I'm going to force close guard, I'm going to get the arm across, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you do that, and then someone diverts that pathway a little bit, and not everyone knows how to correct course. You know, you throw a little wrench in it, and all of a sudden they're like, oh shit. And that's the difference. Like that's going by habit versus like being able to just respond in the moment. And it may look like habit with, you know, higher belts or people who are able to respond better, but it's a little bit different. It's not the same thing as someone who just like has developed this one game. And you can get really successful with that strategy, but it's not the same thing as just responding in the moment, as like having a habit. This is what I do every time. And they may look the same, but there's a difference. I mean, would you
I would agree. I mean, we've talked about it before. You know, when you go into a round, that you can't have too many preconceived ideas of how it's going to go.
Yeah, no.
Because when someone takes a left, when you expect them to take a right, and it takes a second for your brain to catch up.
Yeah.
And that second is valuable.
Yeah. Yes.
So
now
yeah,
you're behind the curve.
You're behind the curve, and yeah.
The power curve, as they say, in tactical land.
Oh, I thought you were going to refer to weightlifting land, the power curve.
Well, I guess they use that there too.
Yeah.
But I've heard it in the tactical world. You don't want to get behind the power curve. That's why you got to have a sub-second draw. Because what if someone's drawing you, and how are you going to catch up if you are behind the power curve and all this shit? So it's all interesting thought processes. So I know, man. It's fucking funny, man. I've been diving like deep, like just absorbing all sorts of shit, as I'm sure you have. And I'm sure you see, man, there's a lot of it's like anything else. You start to see common threads. Like that's really what I'm getting. Like I'm absorbing a lot of shit, and I'm learning stuff here and there, but it's like, okay, I've heard like 3 guys recommend the same thing, so there must be something here. Like that's kind of how I'm using a lot of it to direct my knowledge, because I know, man, YouTube can be a dangerous place. Like we tell white belts all the time, like stay off YouTube. It'll fuck you up. If you don't know how to filter it, you don't know how to use it properly, you can get steered in the wrong direction quickly.
You know, that is a skill in itself, because we're I was thinking about this week. We live in such a fortunate time. We have access to so much information right at our fingertips, and so you can learn so much stuff. As you just, I realize that like I'm in a pretty fortunate position when it comes to learning things, being that I have a job that affords me the opportunity to, I listen to, if I was to average out on the week, like 6 hours worth of podcast every day. Because, you know, in the morning I got about a 3-hour drive, and in the afternoon I got about a 3-hour drive. And no, that's dedicated podcast time. And even throughout the day, in between deliveries, you know, I got podcasts playing. So, man, if I get down to a subject, I can just find all the podcasts or audiobooks that I want, and I can just fucking listen until my heart is content. I mean, how much I'm retaining is debatable.
Yeah.
But it's still, it doesn't, but I'm kind of diverting off subject. Is what I was getting at is that you have to learn how to discern what's good information to what's bad information, and that, I mean, you got to spend the time. You'll spend the time listening to some bad information.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it until afterwards, or like almost through the podcast episode, and you're like, ah, fuck, that was kind of garbage.
Yeah.
But you got to put the time in to find out. Like my new rabbit hole I've been on is this whole Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But dude, I'm going deep on this, dude. All my waking hours are obsessed with this. And I can explain why, because there's like some common threads, but there is so much information out there. And it's a beautiful thing, man. You can just read and read and read and listen. And it's fucking great. What other time in this world have we had this much ability just to, if you want to learn about something, fucking go. No one's stopping you.
Yeah.
And man, I love it. It's like, I feel very fortunate in that. Like, and people that aren't capitalizing on that, like I feel bad for them. What are you doing with your time? Why aren't you finding something that just really interests you? I mean, it can be working out, it can be anything, cryptocurrency, it can finances, like every jiu-jitsu, shooting guns, training dogs, like whatever you want to do, and you can just spend hours just educating yourself on it. And man, but there's a lot of bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, you got to spend the time and invest the energy and effort, and that's where, like, paying for some help, whether, and with jiu-jitsu, I mean, join a fucking gym. I mean, trying to learn jiu-jitsu through watching videos and getting some buddies together and mats in your garage. I mean, it's better than nothing. You can do it, but you're better off like joining the local school.
Yep.
I mean, if you can afford it or work something out, like, so just that is the thing as well. Like, if you're just trying to navigate things, it's a different thing. It's not that you can't, right? Because you may not have a fucking local Bitcoin expert that you can talk to, but if you did, I'll bet you would fucking take advantage if there was a local Bitcoin dojo.
I haven't like gone down the rabbit hole finding if there's anybody here.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of cryptocurrency financial advisor.
Yeah.
That I could sit down and talk to, but that idea has been in my head.
Yeah. So, but again,
I would like to talk to somebody because there is a definite
value.
There's definite value in that.
And investing in somebody who's been there and done that. It may just be to find out that fucking half of what they told you may not necessarily apply to what you need to do, right? You may have been given, advice that they'd give to one person, but it doesn't really apply to your situation. Yeah. So, but again, if you're not willing to go through that process, then you're not really willing to get good at something. Because if you're waiting for someone to come along, and this is what I was going to say, I think the problem is that people's attitude today is, well, someone needs to come and tell me what to do and how to be successful.
Yep.
And then I'll do it, and no one's telling me what to do. And it's like, motherfucker, it's all right there. You can go find out, but it takes time, energy, and effort. And if you're not willing to invest the time, energy, and effort, and your attitude is just, well, the man is fucking holding me down, or insert fucking excuse here, then you're never going to get better. You may succeed in getting more people to listen to your complaining, but you're still not achieving what you wanted to achieve. It's not changing things.
Man, so many people. It's funny that we started out talking about this, because that's what I wanted to talk about today was basically this in a nutshell is, so many people are just waiting for someone to give them the answer. They don't want to put in the work to find the answer for themselves and experiment. And they just want the information spoon-fed to them. Yeah. And I see it, dude. When I see that, I get so frustrated. Because you'll try... I'll try not to get too specific. So you try to help somebody with, something in particular. And you give them quite a bit of information. But this happened to me recently. And I gave this individual adequate information. And I just assumed that they would do some reading and stuff on their own. Yeah. To, further educate themselves, and help them achieve their goal. But, after a week or two helping this person out, they made some comments or, asked me some questions and made some statements that just made my blood go to fucking the magma level. I was like, what? Why is this question even being asked right now? And it took me a couple days after the conversation that I got a little agitated with to realize that this individual was not doing any work on their own. Mm-hmm. The only information that they were running with was what I had told them. That's it. Like, what I had told them was gospel, and they just shut off the learning valve right there. Like, that's it. This is all I need to know. I'm like, what? And it's like, God damn it, man. We have the world at our fingertips with that little phone in your hand.
Yeah.
And if you're interested and you're trying to achieve a goal, for you not to explore it and, you know, like, even question the shit I'm telling them.
Right.
You know, take what I'm telling them, be like, man, is Rob full of shit? Or, you know, why is he telling me this?
Just confirm it.
Confirm it,
yeah.
You know, or find some, you know, counter arguments to it. But I wonder, like, I can't think, I still, like, I have a hard time believing that. I know you yell at me all the time and tell me that we are not normal in this, you know, and thinking like this. But then I get these things that happen, like, wait a second. I think you're right. Like, more people just, it's a laziness thing. More people just fall into that. They don't want to do extra to better themselves. They don't want to do extra to learn more. They just want to go to work or whatever, come home, and sit on their fucking ass and watch TV and then go to bed and wake up and do it again. There's no extra.
Yeah.
And it's...
Or else they're getting information and they're not acting on it. And part of that is, like, you know, they got information from you and action was to, like, follow up with that information, and they're, you know, not doing it. Or, you know, people will go online and look up weight loss or workouts or whatever and read some articles or what, and then they don't actually do it, or they don't do it consistently enough. It's I think there's the book Fortitude by Dan Crenshaw. Have you read that?
I haven't read it.
It's pretty good, man. It's one of those where I thought, like, oh, okay, I've seen, you know, these things before, but it's actually pretty fucking good.
I'm a little mixed on that guy. He'll put out a lot of good stuff, you know, in the way he thinks about things, and then he'll come up. His ideas on certain things are just like...
Well, in the book, his ideas on what, you know, just the need to have a common story, you know, national story. Because that's what's going on right now. Is like the story that we tell ourselves as a nation is fractured. You know, when we were kids, the story was, man, we are the greatest nation on earth. You know, we were founded on these principles of freedom and democracy. And, you know, we're working towards the realization of that dream, you know, like we're marching, always trying to get better and improving, but this is good. Like what's happening in this country is good. And now the national story is being challenged with, you know, America is racist and America was founded on slavery and America is, you know, anti anything that isn't a white male cisgender fucking, you know, blah blah blah. And you know, so but that's the problem, is there's this national story, and so what, you know, which story we tell ourselves is important, and it reflects also the story that we tell ourselves. And so are we victims or do we have opportunities? And, you know, like one of the things I liked about it, because I've talked to Shiloh about this and I've noticed, is that it's like, you know, who are your heroes? And I think that that's the problem. One of the problems today is that, you know, this generation and you know, I don't know how long it's been this way, but like their heroes are fucked up. They don't have heroes like we did. Like Harry Potter's not a fucking hero. Mm-hmm. He's an interesting story. But the idea of trying to make heroes relatable is fucked up, right? We want heroes to be inspirational, not relatable. I can't relate to Jocko. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He inspires the fuck out of me, but I can't relate to waking up at 4:30 in the morning and doing the things that he's fucking done. And that's what I want. But they've tried to like soften that because that can make people feel bad. And so, well, we got to make heroes relatable. And so you come up with fucking Harry Potter. And you grow up with this as your hero. And well, that affects like who you want to be. Like now you're looking around, you're like, okay, who should I be? And what characteristics do they have? And it's yeah, and so that the stories that arise from those heroes that you have, and the story that you tell yourself, well, that's going to feed into like what story you're going to tell yourself about, you know, the nation as a whole. And so he just had some really good points about like, you know, what is the fucking point? And one of his things was like, you can't have a plan B. Like, you make it through the BUDS training, through SEAL training, you don't have a plan B. The guys who make it through never allow themselves to have a plan B. Like, quitting was never an option. There was no plan B. And like, I know exactly what he means. Like, there's times in my life where either forced by circumstance or whatever, where it's like, no, this is going to fucking happen. There is no plan B. Failure is not an option. There is no other thing to do. And like, having that attitude in general, and then being able to apply it towards learning something. Like, that's kind of ultimately where all this is coming back, is like, people don't have that no plan B attitude. And so it's like, okay, I got to learn to do this, whether it's manage my finances or shoot a gun or fucking shoot a triangle or whatever the fuck it is, man. Like, I got to learn how to do this. And so, like, I don't know, like, you and I, when we enter that phase, there's no plan B. Like, we're going to learn about this. We're going to improve. We're going to get better. We're not going to be stopped by circumstances or whatever. Like, fucking hell or high water, we're going to fucking learn, and we're going to figure this out. And if you don't have that attitude towards it, and you're just like, I want to learn it, but
that seems like a lot of work.
If I don't, I can blame the fucking whatever. Like, that's a different attitude. Mm-hmm. And I think that attitude is kind of at the heart of, you know, we see it as laziness, and I think it manifests itself as laziness because if you have a plan B, it's always easy to quit. You know, if you don't have a plan B, you're never going to quit. And so you don't look like you're lazy. You look like you're lazy if you always allow yourself a plan B, because you just fucking quit all the time. And so I think that is kind of at the heart of the fucking thing. Like, you know, you need heroes that didn't allow themselves a fucking plan B. And that's how you want to be. And, you know, so that's, anyways.
You know, I have trouble with the word hero. You know, because heroes, it's a weird thing for me when I try to process, okay, what is a hero? Because I like to look at people with, you know, traits that I would like to emulate.
Right. Heroes aren't 100% perfect.
Right. They're not 100% perfect. And I don't know. Like, I really don't like that word.
Well, I would say, like, Pimenta's one of my jiu-jitsu heroes.
Yeah, okay. And see, that's where, like, the uncomfortability, like, okay, you can call him a jiu-jitsu hero, but I just look up to him in the jiu-jitsu world.
Right.
And I want to emulate what he's done or what he does with jiu-jitsu. You know, and there's aspects to your life. I look up to you, and I would like to emulate and learn. And there's all kinds of people.
Vice versa, my friend. You've inspired me more than once.
Excuse me. And there's all kinds of people like that in my life. But I'm not going to call you my hero. Yeah, right. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Well, I know it's just a weird word game in my head, but it's...
Well, I think that it's important growing up as a child to have heroes, because that's how you think. That's how you interact with the world. You know, you interact with the world in these grandiose black and white ways. Like, that's how you see the world. And so you need heroes who emulate, well, in a black and white world, this is how you want to act. Mm-hmm. And then as you grow up, you realize, like, there's more shades of gray. But if you don't know how to act when things are black and white in the first place, how the fuck are you going to figure out the gray?
Yep.
Right? So heroes are... you know, again, like, you look back at, like, the Greek heroes, like, they had personality flaws. It wasn't, you know, they weren't perfect. Like, Achilles was an asshole. You know what I mean? So you wanted to emulate certain aspects of Achilles, but you don't want to be Achilles.
Right.
And that's what they would teach them. Like, look, I want to be like this hero in this aspect, and I want to be like this hero. I want the strength of Hercules and the bravery of Diomed and the fucking cunning of Odysseus, you know? It wasn't like this one Superman. So, but you had these they were heroes. They were larger than life. Like, this is how you act. Like, if you're Odysseus, you're getting home. There is no fucking plan B. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but if you don't grow up with these heroes, you don't grow up with these people informing you that this is the way that you act, man. Then you grow up as an adult and you're just like trying to navigate a gray world and you have no fucking like foundation.
Yeah.
Your foundation's fucked up. It's full of, feel good and you're okay, I'm okay, and we're all rock stars and shit like that, man. It's not, as the foundation's fucked up, so it makes it harder as adults for people to figure out how to navigate shit. So it's it's fucked up.
It is.
Yeah, man. There's that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, but go ahead.
It's part of what I was wanting to talk about too is just like the personal responsibility. And man, I know we harp on it, but it's so important, and I think that's a big part. It goes with that. It's just lost nowadays. People don't take personal responsibility for themselves, and that's part of the reason. Like, I started thinking about this a couple months back when Shiloh wants to be on the getting jacked kick. She wants to look like her mom.
Yeah,
which is awesome. And it made me start thinking about when it comes, your body and your mind are the only two things in this world that you have 100% control over.
Right.
You can get thrown curveballs. You can get cancer or something. You didn't have control over that. You have control over how you respond to it, but those are kind of subsets to the area. But you have, like if you want to get jacked, you want to get stronger. You have control over that, and it's such a beautiful thing, man. You can control what goes in your mouth. You control how much you sleep. You control when you work out, how you work out. Like, you have 100% control over it. And I think that's why I like that so much, because no one can take that from me.
Yeah.
And it's up to me to succeed or fail. And man, I think that's why I'm drawn to it. And I started thinking about this too, because this is kind of the same thing with that cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. In that, dude, that's just a whole world. Like, a whole world full of fucking information and shit. But so much of it is, personal responsibility, man. And because the more I learn about, finance and all this shit, that, dude, I really do believe that, like, the system is rigged against normal blue-collar working guy like myself. Like, from the finance industry and the systems in place and the politicians, they just feed you little nuggets to, let you think you're doing good, and then bullshit information. But it's almost to, like, keep you at a certain level, and the whole GameStop thing and the Wall Street bets on Reddit.
Right.
It's, expose some of those cracks. And it just really makes you start thinking, like, that game is rigged, man. That game is fucking rigged.
Well, yeah.
The more you learn about it and just you go down those rabbit holes, the whole fiat currency and the intermingling of Wall Street and the finance industry and politicians, that game is fucking rigged.
Yeah.
And dude, you start learning about it, it is agitating. And in my opinion, and this is very white belt opinion on it, but like, cryptocurrency is the opportunity for a normal guy like myself to, like, give the middle finger to that system. And it's all about personal responsibility, man. It's all about doing your own research, educating yourself, taking custody of your own money and holding it. That's a big thing with the crypto. And it's a little bit of the Wild West when you get into cryptocurrency, because you'll get hackers trying to steal your shit. And there's no end, or if you're trying to send, crypto to somebody else and you send it to the wrong address, it's gone, man. There's, if you're working with a normal bank or Wells Fargo or something, and you fuck up, they got insurances and they'll cover you, blah, blah, blah. No, that doesn't exist. And so it's your response. You have to take that responsibility to control it. And it's a really beautiful thing. And I like it. I'm running into that more this week. I don't want to get too much into my finances, but I wanted to sell some different stocks and things. So I'm moving some money around and investing in crypto. And I got all these fucking gatekeepers I got to jump through, man. Like, it's my money. But I can't just.
No, they're trying to protect it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
They're afraid that you're going to do something silly like go invest in Bitcoin.
They're trying to protect me. I don't need you to protect me.
I know.
And it's super.
It's the same system that takes the taxes out of your paycheck for you, out of the kindness of their heart.
And a lot of these bullshit systems in place, or like they say it's for your own good.
Right.
No, man, fuck you. Like personal responsibility.
Yeah.
I will take care of myself.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of it.
Yep.
And it's.
Dude, I mean, I again, so I will say before this statement, like, man, what happened in Texas was fucked up. And like, you see videos, and man, it was a fucking crazy situation. So no way am I making light of anybody's situation down there. But like, you heard what's going on with the energy bills.
Yeah.
And so, dude, as soon as I heard it, before it even came out, I was like, oh, I know what happened. These people were on variable rate energy plans because they were betting on the energy prices being lower than normal, and they're not. You know, that's like you sign up for a mortgage that, you know, has a, you know, the adjustable rate mortgage. Adjustable rate mortgage, exactly. It's the exact same thing. And there's a level of personal responsibility that comes along with doing that. If you're going to leave the security of a fixed rate system and enter a variable rate system because you're going to bet that you're going to win by having lower than normal rates, like, you need to be cognizant of the fact that that could flip. And then you have to have some sort of plan for if it does. And people didn't. And again, the narrative is really more like, how dare the energy company? Oh my God. And it's like, dude, the people signed up for it. Like, this is what their contract said. And I think that they should work something out. I don't think, like, yeah, you shouldn't have a $10,000 electric bill. Like, something needs to be done. But like you said, man, there's a level of personal responsibility that goes along with that. But you can just see from the narrative, from that situation right there, like, society as a whole does not believe that. The message that's not the message of personal responsibility. It is, how dare the energy company actually do what they said they were going to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, again, I think this should be worked out. But like I said, you could just see from the reaction, both from society and the media, that the reaction was not one. And you had one, I forget, you know, somebody who came out and basically said something like that, and his words were definitely not presented in a positive light, you know, that he's pointing out that, like, hey, this is what happened. You don't have these evil energy companies. You had people that signed up for this thing. This is what happened. There's a level of personal responsibility involved. Like, we'll work something out. But again, like, his words were not taken as, like, in the positive light. It was being portrayed in a very negative way from at least the article and source that I saw. So, yeah, man, you're exactly right. Like, if you don't have that level of personal responsibility, and dude, that's at the fucking heart of the prepper lifestyle. So,
yeah.
You got to be responsible for your own safety. You got to be responsible for your own, you know, well-being in case it called upon. Like, it's great that you don't have to, but going around life pretending like, oh, nothing's ever going to happen to me. I mean, dude, every day something's trying to, like, fucking Mother Nature, life is trying to kill you. Mm-hmm. Like, every day you got to make yourself harder to kill. Whether it's just, you know, the fact that you're getting older, and it's like, man, I got to stay fit. You know, I got to eat right. I got to keep, you know, doing these things along with all the training and stuff. Like, because if you slack off, like, shit, you get behind the power curve, bro.
Someone's coming to take your lunch.
Yeah.
And when those things get exposed, people don't like to admit they fucked up. They look for someone to point a finger at. Like, oh, this didn't work out, but it's not my fault.
Right.
You know,
it's not my fault.
It's not my fault. This happened because of this. No, motherfucker, it is your fault.
Yeah.
And you need to sack up and take responsibility of that shit.
Yeah.
I get, that shit gets me just fired up and pissed off, because you see examples of that in so many different facets of your life and in everybody's life around you. And it goes, also, you see so many people wanting to find shortcuts and find the easy way to do things. Yeah, and that agitates me to no end too. Like, man, yeah, there is things that can shape. Yeah, the hacks. And there's things that can
place for those things.
They're saying there is, you know, well, I don't really like using the word, but there is little tricks you can do to help yourself. But there is no fucking shortcut, man. You gotta put in the effort. And, you know, like when it comes to, let's say you want to build some muscle and get stronger. Dude, there's no fucking substitute from just lifting goddamn weights and eating protein, man.
Consistently over time.
Consistency is if you want to hack, that is it. There's no fucking supplement. There's no, yes, if you get on anabolic steroids, you know, you're going to get to your outcome your end result possibly faster, but that's still not the end all be all, man. You still got to be very consistent with all the other things. And everybody's looking for that shortcut, man. And it's not there. When it comes to anything, you got it. Consistency is everything. You got to put in the fucking, you got to show up every day. Yeah. Every day. and that's lost. People just don't act like that. They're always looking for the goddamn shortcut, man.
Yeah, the hack lifestyle. The 4-hour work week was kind of the kickoff point, I think, for a lot of people trying to, oh man, I just need to look for the hacks and stuff. And
I don't know if it was I wouldn't say it was a kickoff point. I want to say Tim Ferriss was smart, and he capitalized on the fact that people don't want to put in the work. Yeah. And they want the easy ride.
I just mean, obviously those things, there's a point, there's an adoption phase, right? And so you got your early adopters and then your blah, blah, and it's and then there's a point where it tips more of the public's awareness. And I would say the 4-hour work week was definitely influential in tipping this whole idea more towards the public's awareness and just making it there was a point where the kettlebell showed up in fucking Gold's Gym, so it so anyway, that's I agree. There's always been this thing you sell fucking muscle magazines since I've been reading muscle magazines, the tips of the pros. That was basically what's the hack, brother? What's the pro tip that I need to fast forward my gains, dude? That's what you were looking for. And so, but the whole, trying to base your whole life around hacks. I know what you mean. You get people and they do these things and it's they're just trying to look for these shortcuts in all these different areas rather than just settling in and doing the work. And I define a hack as a best practice. So if somebody tells you hey man, if you're getting into jiu-jitsu, a good hack is to, keep a training journal, right? Okay, well that's, I would say that'll definitely speed up your progress. It's very easy to do, you could define it that way, but it's also just the best practice for that situation. And so, I can't really think of, because the way that they're sold and what they end up actually being are two different things. That's the thing that people don't realize about hacks. What they want is something that's going to speed things up. Nothing speeds shit up. What they're basically doing is giving you some best practices so that you're not wasting your time. Right. And if you're not wasting time, it seems like things are being sped up, because you would be wasting your time usually trying to figure these things out, and then you don't. And so, instead of taking you 10 weeks to achieve something, it takes you 6 weeks. But fuck, it still takes you 6 weeks. You know what I mean? You're not getting it in a week. But that's what they want. They want this fucking hack. Okay, if I do this for a week or two, boom, I'm there. And yeah, man, Megamass 2000 doesn't work that way. Nope. Despite what the ads say.
Damn it. They've been lying to us.
So yeah, realizing that, man, coming to that realization point is, I think, something that everybody's got to go through. I mean, supplements are a perfect example. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on supplements. Thousands. Yeah. And on some level, supplements are a hack, right? You're trying to speed all this stuff up and get the most results as quickly as possible. And I'm going to do that through these supplements. And then you notice the people who've been working out the longest and training the longest, especially if they don't have a supplement sponsor, tend to take the fewest things. The person who takes the most shit is the new person. Yep. He's going crazy. And yeah, but then you realize oh, that's not it's just work, man. I got to put in the work.
And put in the goddamn work.
Yeah, no supplements ain't really helping me. They're just making my wallet lighter.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You're going to be lighter on the scale because your wallet's lighter.
Yeah. So, no, I hear you, man. There's just it's a societal attitude thing, and that's why I like that book because whatever else you will about personal politics and stuff is total. His message in that book was basically like, man, we need to get back to this personal responsibility. Like, if we don't, as a nation, if this doesn't become our story again, then we're in trouble. Because where does, like, okay, so we're allowing ourselves a plan B, right? Like, that's the problem. Is like, okay, there's a plan B. If there's someone else to blame, then you've allowed yourself a plan B. And, like, where do you get? Like, you don't get anywhere with a plan B. It's too easy to quit. You'd be like, it's all your fault. So,
man, how do we course correct as a society? Because the path we're on right now is not good.
yeah.
And it's led us to this point where shit is just chaos. And we're creating a bunch of bitch-ass motherfuckers.
Universal basic jiu-jitsu, man.
And, yeah, how do you course correct?
Yeah. Man, I strongly believe, like, jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general are going to have to play a fucking role in it. Like, I know it just sounds, but if we're being real, like, what the fuck is going to help, like, change that? And, martial arts, at its core, is personal responsibility. It's self-defense, it's physical fitness, it's mental fitness, and all of it's on you. It's like, yes, it's a team sport because I need someone else to wrestle with, but you ain't helping me out there. It's still up to me to bring the technique, to bring the fucking fitness, to bring the mindset. And like that's why martial arts are so fucking great. And if you don't have that, you get that with sports to some degree, And so I don't think that it's a coincidence that we're seeing like the decline of sports in school and PE where you're fucking playing dodgeball and different sports where people may feel bad because they lose. And what's going on? Like, people need that, man. People need the struggle.
Yep.
They need the struggle.
You need to feel bad.
Yeah.
You need to feel bad about yourself once in a while.
You do.
You do, because that will be the catalyst for change. Because you'll remember that feeling. You're like, ooh, that didn't feel good.
Right.
How can I avoid that feeling again? I mean, you can avoid it by not participating in those things and be a bitch. Or you can be like, oh no, I can avoid that feeling by getting better. And what do I got to do to get better?
Yep.
And, follow that path. Yeah, dude, sport and martial arts in particular. Obviously, we love martial arts. And I've been in martial arts almost my whole life. And yeah, I could see that being a good tool to help. Because that's where it's got to. We got to teach our kids, the younger generation coming up, this personal responsibility, and these tough lessons of learning and losing and feeling crappy about themselves. Yeah, you have to. Just telling everybody they're great all the time.
Yeah.
It does them such a disservice.
Dude, it's so
You're,
fun.
you're not that great, man. You're not that great. You need to fucking work harder. There's always somebody out there better than you. Always.
Yep.
There's somebody out there working harder right now while you're bitching about you didn't get what you wanted. Whose fault is that? Is it that guy's fault because he's better? No.
Well, yeah. And there's no one stopping you from doing the same.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing. And it doesn't matter who the fuck you are, how you perform is what matters. There's so many beautiful things about jiu-jitsu that would make society better as a whole. And just, man, it would fucking, I don't know if you saw it. There was this fucking crazy video that made its way around the internet in self-defense circles of like the husband and wife and their neighbor arguing, and the fucking neighbor came out with a gun and fucking shot them both down. You ain't seen that?
No.
Dude, it's crazy.
Just recently this happened?
Yeah, like last month or something. It's
really?
Fucking nuts, man. And you're watching this and like, apparently like the couple was shoveling snow onto, they talked about it on the Conceal Carry podcast, where the couple was shoveling snow onto the old boy's yard, and they started arguing, and dude, the couple lose their shit, man. They're like fucking screaming at this dude, and it reminded me of that crazy lady who fucking like drove her pickup truck at me, and like, I thought I was gonna have to fucking fight. Like, dude, you could tell, like, dude, something, like, fucking something's flipped, man. And they were like going crazy, like screaming and cussing at this guy, and he's cussing at them. And then he goes in and, you know, because they're basically calling him out, like calling him a pussy, what are you gonna do? So he goes and grabs a fucking gun and comes out, and they're still like cussing at him, what are you gonna do, fuck you? So he fucking lights him up. And yeah, and they're still like fucking cussing and stuff, so he goes back in and gets a fucking rifle and comes back out and finishes him off. Dude is fucking crazy.
It's insane.
Insane. And I'm watching this and I'm like, nobody does jiu-jitsu in this whole scene. Mm. Because at some point...
You wouldn't act like that.
Nobody would have acted. Somebody, you know, the guy who got the gun and shot them, which, did, you know, those people did not get what they deserved. By no means. But man, they were fucking going... They were pushing hard.
They were being shitty.
Hard. Like when you got someone pointing a gun in your face and you're still cussing at them, it's like, dude, you have no... You live in a world where there are zero repercussions for your actions.
Dude, I experienced that firsthand semi-regularly dealing with shitty fucking customers, right. Man.
And like that's an extreme example of like where this where it can go, but you see that. You see that. And it's like, dude, these people just live in a crazy world where they just don't think there's any physical consequences. And you're like, they don't do jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. They do nothing hard. There's no struggle in their life. And it's like if somebody would have done jiu-jitsu or some sort of martial art or something like that in that situation, those three people would still be alive. Because the dude ended up committing suicide. Because he came to his senses and realized, like, fuck.
Well, this isn't going to end well.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, dude, it's a tragic thing. 3 people died because... I mean, honestly, like, no one in that situation, again, I could be wrong, right? I don't know for sure. And if I'm wrong, then I will, you know, I apologize. One of them may have been doing it, but the way they were acting, it just seemed to me like, man, these people don't have...
other tools.
Yeah.
And then no worry of the consequences for their actions.
Yeah, like, because it would have been so easy for me to have gotten into a similar shouting match with that lady. Mm-hmm. Because she was calling me a pussy, fuck you, like just trying to egg me on. She wanted me to respond and get back at her. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't engage that way. And I definitely know that like doing jiu-jitsu gave me a mindset that allowed me to respond in that way. And like maybe I would have been able to stay calm without it. I don't know. But I definitely know that it helped me stay calm and not escalate a situation like that. And again, like that's what, man, we need those fucking skills. Like society has lost those skills. Like, yeah, you shouldn't act like that, but you need to do jiu-jitsu and so you don't act like that, but I need to do jiu-jitsu so I don't respond to that shit too. Yep. It's like we all need to worry about ourselves. And what can I do to, you know, and so I think that martial arts, jiu-jitsu, you know, it's something like that's going to have to play a role, some sort of like physical culture reawakening, because the path that we're on with just, hey man, sit on a couch and watch Netflix and you're okay and I'm okay is not leading in a good direction. So I think...
it concerns me. Yeah. Like I can get a little... You start getting like depressed. You just look around and see how people behave, and it's concerning.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man, what is happening?
Yeah.
And the people that we have in power right now, there's very few of them like your Dan Crenshaws that are helping correct this thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're the minority. We got all these fucktards running the show, telling everybody they're okay, and that we need to let boys join girl sports because Billy wants to be called Sally so he can go join the girls soccer team and decimate everybody.
Yeah, it's curious, man. I told KLA, like, I feel like the real litmus test for that whole attitude is going to come when it gets into like the major women's sports, like when you see Serena Williams losing to a trans woman, you know, or you see one on the PGA golf tour, like you see some dude who's like, you know, 50th in the world turn trans and start dominating the PGA tour. like there's certain sports and, you know, like the 100-meter dash in the Olympics, you know, even within like track, like that's kind of a high profile thing. Like the girl who wins that event, like that's a thing. So I think what are the attitudes and what's the response going to be when you start seeing that happening? Because that's going to eventually happen. Like if this becomes the norm,
That's going to happen.
it's going to happen. You're going to have a generation of trans women competing in women's sports coming up and eventually turning pro. You know, if it doesn't happen earlier, right? If you don't have someone who turns earlier and starts competing in the women's division. So it's going to happen eventually. Like that is, you know, that's the thing that I don't think people think about. They don't sit down and go, okay, this makes me feel good in the moment, but let's think this out to its eventuality. Like, where is this going to lead us? Like, this is going to lead us to like 3 trans. And again, I'm not anti-trans. Like, that's not my point. I'm just saying, like, there's a potential for this leading to, you know, 3 trans women standing on the podium at the women's 100-meter Olympic finals.
Yep.
Like that could happen. Now, I'm not going to argue whether that's a good or bad thing, but that could happen. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think people have really like thought that out. Like, okay, is this a good or bad thing? Like, how do you feel about this specific scenario here? Like, you know, you don't give a shit about some, you know, girls track in Massachusetts or whatever, high school track in Massachusetts. You don't care about this, you know, women's masters division in cycling or something, you know. So, you know, or these are sports and divisions and things that like they don't really care about, right? And so it's really easy to be like, oh, fuck you, you bigot, you know. But like, okay, well, let's see how you feel when Serena Williams starts losing to one, and I don't mean one to a trans woman, right? So again, I have nothing against it. I just, but if this is where you guys want women's sports to eventually get to, then fine. But if you don't, and, you know, again, like you could then argue, well, if you see this, if you're a woman growing up and you see like, man, the top of these sports are starting to be dominated by trans women, and I'm not a trans woman, like, why even try? Like,
Yep.
why compete? Or you're going to have some that aren't able to make a team because, you know, there's some spots that, you know, a trans woman gets. And, you know, and so that's, you're going to, in some level, discourage and reduce the amount of women who are participating in sports and doing these things.
And that goes back to what we talked about, how important sports are
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the development of our culture.
Which seems to be the opposite of what the fuck we want.
Yep.
And so...
See, that's why I started thinking about all this. Everything you're putting out there, man, I've thought about this. And it doesn't end well unless it gets course corrected somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, the problem too is that we define well by our standards. What if we're in a society today? You know, I hate to say it, but like, what if this generation coming up, like, what if there is a societal change where, like, you know, to them, that is ending well, and it's like, man, this is your society, this is your ship. Like, if this is what you want, then fine, that's great. You know, I mean, then I don't know, like, maybe I don't agree with it, maybe I don't like it, you know, I don't know, but I do recognize that, you know, that I do think that I have a good definition of what ending well is, but I also recognize that that's my definition of ending well. And if that's not what most people want, then, you know, I may be...
We'll just have to move someplace to where that definition is.
Dude, you want to know what's crazy? France. France is starting to declare these social justice ideas coming out of America and American universities as bad for French society. And are starting to, like, you know, look into teachers that teach this stuff and try to avoid this stuff making its way into the French universities. But yeah, basically saying, because, you know, that it was a good, you know, Shiloh's learning French, and French is one of those languages that has male and female verbs or, you know, words, like, and so they're specific to the gender. It's like, what the fuck do you do with a language that has gender specific words when gender doesn't exist and you've got more than 2 genders? Again, take this out on the final fucking timeline, folks. You know what I mean? It sounds good when you're in America, but okay, what you know, Spanish and French, and you have these languages that have this established way of speaking because there is an established way of looking at human beings, and that is male and female. And if someone wants to transition from a male to a female and start being referred to by the female verbs and pronouns and stuff like that, then great, do it. You know, I don't have a problem with that. But you know, the problem is when they're like, well, these fucking things don't even exist, and well, I'm not. You know, I'm non-binary. I'm fucking pansexual, or what? You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you refer to these people in these languages? Because they don't fit into the male and female gender, blah blah blah. So I don't know what the answer to the question is, but this is one of those things I don't think a lot of these people have really thought about and said like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, like we're gonna have to ask these people to restructure their entire language, and they probably will. Like that's the arrogance that these fucking assholes have, is that they should be forced to restructure their entire language to stop reflecting this binary Western bullshit way of looking at things. And kudos to France, man. I never thought I'd say, like, man, we may be looking at moving to France at some point in the future, but dude, if they put a stop to this social justice bullshit, I'll go fucking drink some espresso and eat some brie and speak some fucking French.
Yep.
So I don't know where they're at with guns over there. I don't think they like them, but you know, I don't know if it's between owning guns, which they're trying to make harder and harder and more ridiculous. And again, you see, man, like that Colin Noir guy had a good point with like, dude, even if you ban AR-15s, you're not going to make a dent in actual gun violence. So what's the fucking point? It's like COVID-19. You can see like our leaders are not being driven by science and data. They're being driven by making the populace feel better.
Yep.
AR-15s make people feel nervous because they look aggressive. And so in order to make people feel better, we're going to ban them even though they don't do shit for actually reducing the number of deaths and incidents of gun violence. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're going to close the fucking gyms in California, even though there's no fucking reason to.
Feel-good measures.
Feel-good measures.
That's all these things are.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what the government's being run by right now.
Feel-good measures. They want everybody to be warm and cozy.
Yeah.
And feel good about themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a sad state of affairs, man.
It's fucking crazy, man. That's why we like jiu-jitsu.
Personal responsibility.
So we get on the mats and it don't fucking matter, man. All I'm worried about is that goddamn Toledo choke you keep trying to throw around my neck, or the new Ezekiel throat crush of death from the arm triangle position or whatever. And yeah, you got some new tricks you've been working on. Yep. So I'm more worried about those things and all that shit when we're wrestling, man. That's why I love that shit.
Those are more important.
Fuck yeah.
Cool. I say we call that a wrap.
Sounds
so I
good,
get out
man.
of here and get to training in time.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Hell yeah.
Personal responsibility, people.
Personal
Take care
responsibility.
of yourself. What, you know, like Pimentas said, and we've said a million times, if everybody just worried about making themselves better, we'll all get better.
Yep. Just worry about yourselves.
Worry about yourselves, motherfuckers.
That's it.
That's it. See ya.
See ya.